Hi, and welcome to the Slovenian frontrunners in raw materials section of UNI.MINDS 2020. My name is Peter, and I invite you, if you want to say something, ask a question or make a comment, you're more than welcome to do so at any time during the panel. Please post them into a chat box and I will try my best to incorporate them into the conversation with my guests. For the next 20 minutes or so, we are going to discuss the importance of supply chain in raw materials segment, the novel recycling process that might save the future of EU industry, and last but not least, how and why connection among companies and universities is the key to success. So, as a start, the COVID crisis was not only a health crisis but also a supply chain crisis. And since the EU doesn't have many or any important mineral deposits, recycling them is extremely important. With the crisis in the supply of raw materials, there are additional opportunities because in recent years, it is no longer just the price that matters, but getting the raw materials is in general matters a lot. Of course, with expected due dates and budgets. That is why, as representatives of Slovenia frontrunners, we invited two ladies who have a lot of experience with recycling, and each of them deserves a solo section and a long introduction on their own, but we don't have enough time for that. So without further ado, let me briefly introduce our guests. Please welcome our first guest, Milana Karajić, the head of strategic projects at the company Magneti Ljubljana, a Slovenian manufacturer of magnets. She's an experienced project manager with a strong background in development projects of new products, reuse and recycling materials, new methods, new materials, analytical chemistry, quality control, and environmental sciences. And please welcome on the stage also our second guest, Professor Aleksandra Lobnik. She's a founder and head of laboratory for chemistry and environmental protection at the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Maribor, and the founder and CEO of IOS. She is a regular host professor at various foreign universities and international conferences, and is an active member of a number of associations in her field. Her research focuses on analytical chemistry, optical sensors, Sol-Gel materials, and treating wastewaters. She's a well-known author and co-inventor of a number of patents in these areas. So I thank you both for being part of the UNI.MINDS Festival.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Well, in recent years, many magnetic companies or the companies that produce magnets in Europe have failed, actually. And Milana, your company, Magneti Ljubljana, is one of the few that has survived. And even more so, you have become a star, in a way, in your branch. What do you think are the reasons for that?
Yes, thank you. Magneti Ljubljana exists 71 years and produce permanent magnets in Ljubljana in Slovenia. And it is correct, we are very rare producers in Europe of permanent magnets, and one of the reasons could be that smart decisions of our manager board to go and to stay in niche products and to decide without border on the mind, and even some people advise them to stop production of some type of magnets. They didn't decide as usually producers in Europe, but they do strategically together with customers, and one of the main reasons is quality. tradition and very good relationship with customers. Second hand, also a very big investment in research and development department, and these things, especially regarding recycling materials and very close relationships with customers and researchers.
Thank you. So, I guess also Professor Lobnik, yeah, in the opening panel of UNI.MINDS on day one, Igor Milek, the national contact point for EIC programs, mentioned your company, EOS, as a good practice example, because it is the first Slovenian company to be an EIC accelerator winner, which is a great title, I would say. And so, you and your team are active in several areas of recycling. What guides your research in the field of recycling?
Thank you for this nice introduction. We are really happy about this grant. This is a great opportunity for the company as well, for our researchers doing recycling processes. So I'm involved in analytical chemistry as well, on water treatment processes as well. We have focused last 10 years on recycling processes, not only recycling metals, recycling also plastics, textiles, but also water. So we are thinking that our future or circular economy can be only operative with such a recycling processes. We are talking a lot about circular economy, about sustainability, but still we are lacking about the technological part which can enable such a recycling in big scale. So a lot of researchers, a lot of investigations is done for recycling of metals, recycling of textiles, recycling of plastics. But we are still lacking really scale-up processes which are profitable on one side and green on another side. Normally, circular economy is giving you only costs. And to have profitable technologies of recycling, this is something new. And here we have really to optimize the processes, the technologies that it will bring not only green technologies to circular economy, but on the other hand also that they will be good business models. You will not get investors, you will not get scaling up processes of very good research if on the end will be not economically.
Yes, yes, thank you for that. And since we are focusing on raw materials, I know that your research fields are kind of also others. My next question to you, or sub-question, would be, what about the recycling of materials, of metals, and have you already achieved any interesting results that also
we are
practical?
Very much involved because one part of our research and development are also nanomaterials. So we are synthesizing functionalized magnetic nanoparticles, which can very specifically adsorb and on next phase desorb metals. So it is known that the best adsorbing material for now is active coil, but it's not selective. You cannot regenerate it very easily. So we are developing a new adsorbent materials, which are selective on one hand, so you can really remove one kind of metals, heavy metals or rare earth materials, and you can also recycle them by desorbing them from the adsorbent materials. We have been involved in several projects on this matter from Eurostar's Eureka, so smaller European projects, dealing really with these adsorption processes more than 10 years. We started more than 10 years ago with this idea, but now we are preparing Karajić system where we have included magnetic nanoparticles for selective adsorption and desorption of metals. This is already on prototype, enabling, of course, it's already scaled up and enabling real application. On the other hand, combining to this project, we also managed a scaled up process to prepare nanomaterials. So on one hand, we are preparing already bigger amounts of nanomaterials in kilogram scale, not in ton scale yet, but it's also not needed for such a Karajić system because the nanomaterials are very, very active, and you don't need such a big amounts to be very efficient. So we are thinking that this is also some future for some of recycling of some of the materials, not for everything, but maybe for some very specific metals. This is also one of the possibility how to recycle some of rare earth materials or heavy metals.
Yeah, it's great to hear about innovations you have in the pipeline, and you know, we are looking forward to represent with this kind of innovations also the Slovenian frontrunners. One question to you, Milana. You also use a special innovative recycling processes. Can you maybe share your perspective on and maybe some interesting details about you know, your take with us?
Yes, as Magneti Ljubljana, as producers of permanent magnets, our raw materials are very expensive metals. And from the past, our company interested very much in recycling and materials, also our scraps and etc. To reduce costs. It was the first focus. But as Professor Aleksandra said, this recycling is not a cheap process, and we should find a way how to do it on an economical way for production of permanent magnets. And we do a lot of emphasis through the past of our company, through a lot of internal projects. But in last 2 decades also through Horizon, EIT raw materials, etc. calls with partners through Europe, as University of Birmingham, Forsheim University, Institute Josef Stefan, etc. And we developed a process where we can directly reuse end of life for scrap magnets instead of raw materials. And we research how it influences on quality of magnets, of grade of magnets, and how to do it on the most much possible and economical, feasible way.
Maybe one question to you as well. You know, sometimes we hear that R&D is the first one that has kind of cut in expenditures, you know, when the crisis appears, and after seeing that, focusing on R&D, you know, your company, you know, have a great position on the market. And my question is, do you think that you know, this strategy is now changed or even more embedded in your company? So, you know, leaning more towards importance of R&D.
Yeah, in our company, R&D is very much important because we only with smart decision and some innovation, so we could be good on the market. You know, we should find a way how to how our products or our process to be competitive with, for example, producers from the other part of the world who has cheaper processes and materials. And because of that, these connections with R&D institutions, with R&D projects, and very good R&D team in our company is very important to good position on the market.
Thanks. Yeah. So my next question, you know, UNI.MINDS is a festival where we celebrate industry academia collaboration. And a question for you, Aleksandra, how do you see it as, you know, somebody who has actually two hats? Yeah. You are, you know, great researcher, renowned researcher, but also you founded your own company. Why do you think this is important?
It's very interesting how I come to this idea. I finalized my PhD in Austria at Graz Karl Franz University. And already my professor, as well my colleagues, they established several companies. And this was quite normal because we were dealing with, I finalized my PhD in sensors. And at some point, only to publish papers and not to see something in real environment was too less. And so they established several companies. And when I moved to University of Maribor in 2006, there were no legislation, no spin-off yet. You know, this is something what is what was coming later on. So I was somehow already before the ideas how to also put some good ideas to the market. So the idea was to really see something what we discover or what we research on the market. I think this is the final step of something what you achieve. Of course, the basic research is very important, you know. Without some basic research, you can't really go for very good applications. So therefore, the university, it's very important, and to have stable research money for some really basic research where maybe not the industry will be so much interested. But for real applications, we can come at the university only to prototypes, but you have to develop from prototype also the final product. And this is another project. When you are dealing with something like that, you can see that there are some other issues where you have to be also involved. I mentioned you have shown that something is working, but for market and to success on the market, this is not enough. You have also to be at the right market. You have to also have the right price. This is also something dealing with economics. And I think this is broadening our research portfolio. So with the company which I established, I learned much more. And also I come in my research to some new ideas, you know. It's a really good combination. But you have to be such a person. It's not for everybody. Some people, we like to see something in reality. We are not satisfied only with some patents and papers. This is depending. Not all the professors, we are from the same materials and not with the same goals. Some other professors really like to be in the basic research, but I was really always looking on applications, but because my research was oriented. So we are developing sensors, we are developing also nanomaterials, and I was always not satisfied to have nanomaterials in few grams. I always want to have nanomaterials in kilograms and also in some tons. I was not satisfied with that, you know. And also recycling. I like what my colleagues are doing, and they are doing great jobs. Really, we have excellent researchers dealing with recycling processes, dealing with circular economy, but this is still in the lab. This is still a small pilot plant. But we need, as a society, we need to build up something serious in that on industrial level, which will bring really benefits to a circular economy and sustainability of the whole society. It's not enough to be satisfied with the research itself.
Thank you for your words, you know, and, you know, I always joke that being ahead of the curve is something that is normal for, you know, for the researchers. And I guess what I hear now is not only in domain, yeah, but also in the mindset, in utilization of created knowledge. And, you know, the other comment maybe is also, you know, the luck is part of being Slovenian frontrunner, yeah. So, you know, thank you, but, you know, let's go to the company side in a way, yeah. You know, Milana, why is cooperation with the economy, with the academy, or, you know, with the universities important to you?
Yeah, it is very important because in the company we are a lot of focus only on the prices, only on the market, but to have open mind and to all new ideas, also from basic study to application. It is very important, this connection, because only in company you can do, don't have it, you couldn't finance it, but together we can do a lot of, for example, from some basic study, it could, and especially if it has promising results, of course in company we are interested to implement it, and then we need less smaller work in our R&D team, because we couldn't finance from basic study to do it in company, because all this work is very important to be then implemented finally in the company. And without these connections, it couldn't be innovative.
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, time, you know, kind of goes faster when you have really good conversations. But here, you know, as a, you know, because we have to pay attention to the time and to respect the time, I would move to the you know, concluding and conclusion with a rather simple question addressed to both of you. And because you finished, Milana, maybe I'll ask the question first to you. What do you foresee as the future of recycling of raw materials and materials in Europe in general?
I think it is a big possibility, especially for metals, because in Europe we don't have a lot of mine places, but of course we have a lot of waste, and waste is, from the other hand, could be secondary, very good secondary material, and in Europe, and especially metals could be, and they are very good secondary products. But now what it should be, especially in Europe, needed in Europe is not regulations is very hard. For example, if we look at in USA regulations regarding waste and secondary products, For example, if you in Europe, some waste materials want to transport from one country to the second, there is a lot of papers, and it could be difficult because of Europe regulations, but it could be simple as possible because waste is they are secondary products, and it not should be stopped because of regulation. It's the same. I want to say that at the same time, regulations should help companies to and also to somehow to be free of taxes, or somehow that that if you use secondary products of instead of raw materials. And I think it is very promising in Europe, especially regarding metals.
Thanks. Maybe also a question for you, Aleksandra. You know, how do you see or foresee the future in Europe or in the world? Yeah.
Maybe Europe, it's here quite important because we have not really a lot of important mineral deposits. This is probably really something where we are aware about the problems that rare earth materials, as well as some heavy metals, are not really sources of those materials are really in Europe. So we have to go for recycling. And Europe is aware about this problem, and therefore a lot of budget and projects are available for new recycling processes, as well to build scale up pilot plants, as well to be supported to make some industrial plants for recycling rare earth materials or heavy metals, which are important for our industry. This started already, the problem of the raw material started already in COVID, as you mentioned already, but I'm quite sure that this will not finish now because we are before another crisis, and probably this problem will not diminish in next months. So I think we have to focus on this area. So as Milana already mentioned, also the legislation is supporting that, also supports the industry to include secondary raw materials in their final products. I think this is a big support or big very important information, because also final products or producers are aware about this problem, but they will be also motivated to include secondary raw materials in their products if the legislation or some support will be given, like by electrical cars or some other actions dealing with the green Europe, the Green Deal. I think in such a case, if you are introducing more than 20%, 30, 50% of secondary raw materials, you will benefit of that. You know, you are bringing something good to the environment, to the society, and I think also the producers should be motivated in such a way. So I think we are starting or we are involved in Europe, which should be green, sustainable, in circular, dealing with circular economy. I'm not so sure that the rest of the world is also so much supporting all the ideas, because this is very hard, because you need a good research behind. As well, it's also costly, and therefore not everybody is very motivated in this way. But I think this is the right way for Europe, and I'm really supporting this idea. I'm really supporter of Green Deal initiatives, And I think this is where we are the leading countries in this area.
Thank you, ladies, for your great insights and the efforts you put into this very important topic for EU. I also just remembered that also Spirit has recognized your companies and you became Slovenian ambassadors. So this has been a great discussion with two Slovenian frontrunners in raw materials section, Dr. Milana Karajić and Professor Aleksandra Lobnik. Thank you all for tuning in, and before departing, let me really briefly invite you to our next sessions. We just started a presentation of good practices of current opportunities of the EIT raw materials hub in Slovenia. And last but not least, at 2 o'clock, we will have a great panel discussion on the topic of urban mobility. And at 3 o'clock, we will present good practices of EIT Urban Mobility Hub. Today, we are also wrap up the third UNI.MINDS Festival with a closing ceremony, and live streaming starts at 6 o'clock. If you missed any of the keynotes or interesting insights for more than 60 speakers that we have this year, do not worry too much. They are already available for you on UNI.MINDS platform, where you can connect and innovate together with the researchers, companies, and EIT hubs in Slovenia. I'm Peter, and I wish you best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.